Recording in progress.
Welcome in to the latest episode of the Bet in the Pitch Soccer Podcast. I'm your host, the real _ G Warner, joined by, nobody, just myself tonight. We are 14-7-1 so far in best bets that I have watched. We are 67% year to date, covering England, Spain, Italy, France, and Germany on this episode. Thursday Night Football, I think, is about to wrap up. I only got to halftime, but I was like, it's time to get this out there in the world, and then I'll finish the rest of the game before I go to sleep. But that's probably too much information for everybody. This is one of the last weekends before we get to the Christmas break across all the leagues. We have some Coupe de France action in France. There's not a lot of great matches there, but I've gone through a couple of them. Hopefully we have lines available. All lines will be quoted courtesy of Bet Online. We'll go through England, Premier League, Spain, La Liga, Italy, the Supercoppa Italia, which has a Friday match, and then the regular Serie A card this weekend. France, Coupe de France, as I already said, and the German Bundesliga. And if you are not a member of my Patreon, check it out, patreon.com/real _ G Warner. If you're not subscribed to the podcast, Bet in the Pitch on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, search that at the real _ G Warner on YouTube and on Instagram, especially if you want some more reels and other like that video content for shorter versions of what could be a long podcast tonight. But we're going to go through where lines have moved, where I expect them to go, all those sort of things, try to find some bets from each of the leagues. I'll smash them all together. I'll pick one, and that'll be what you grade me upon. And we'll start in the English Premier League because that's where the money is. And there's a ton of matches in England, all on Saturday, it feels like, this weekend, getting you ready for some festive fixtures coming up with Christmas next week. I think we play a lot of Boxing Day matches. So that would be on Friday. And I think they're trying to gear up as much as possible. So we'll start with Newcastle hosting Chelsea in the early matchup, 6:30 local time here in Dallas, Texas. I'm not sure I'll be up for that one, but I will be checking the lineup for sure because I like Newcastle. They're currently at pick 'em right now. All the juice is on the Chelsea side. Total in this one is 2 3/4, juiced all the way to over. So Newcastle at home, that's where they play their best. They really have struggled away from home so far this season, and in most, or at least their other Champions League season as well. And this one's even more daunting because you're not just playing teams in your group, you're playing 2 additional matches and what they, I think, played before the last time they were in Champions League, I believe, was before there's a changeover in the format. And that's been problematic for Newcastle, but they have one of the best crowd advantages in all of football across the world. American football, European football, World Cup eligible, other things. You use your foot to kick things. And I'm very interested in the home team, especially considering Chelsea's penchant for playing down to opponents. Now, Newcastle, of course, in Champions League, you wouldn't play down to them. But I don't think anyone at Chelsea or across England thinks that Newcastle are on the same level. So for me, I think there's a lot of value on a pick 'em right now in Newcastle. So when they draw at home, you get your money returned to you. But I think they win this match, and it's plus 101 right now at Bet Online. They only have 16-cent English Premier League lines. So if you're not betting EPL at Bet Online, you're making a mistake. Hit me up at the real _ G Warner across any social media platform or on Patreon, and I will happily get you a referral to get you some extra money at Bet Online, former sponsor of this podcast. I'll move now to the big window of matches on Saturday. Brighton hosting Sunderland. Currently Brighton 3/4 goal favorites with all the juice. Total in this one is 2.5, and it's juiced very heavily to over. So Sunderland, I mean, they've made it clear what they're going to be this entire season. It's been a great start to the season for them. Though maybe the results lately haven't been as good. Hard to, finish in the top 4 position as a newly promoted club in England. You're just hoping to survive, and they've done a great job to start. Brighton on the other side have, I think, really lost their way. They're a selling club that brings up great talent, sells it off, and they had a really good run, won a Europa League group a few seasons ago, back when they did that in that format. And I just don't think their goal scoring has been the same for a long time. I don't know that I'm really a believer in the new manager. I like him as an underdog, but not as a favorite of this size. I think we might get a full goal of insurance on Sunderland, at least an expensive one. I love that idea, even going on the road to get that push on a single goal loss. I think we see a really low scoring match here. That's what Sunderland plays, and I think Sunderland have the ability to score goals. We saw them steal a match in a win on the road at Chelsea earlier this season. Move next to Manchester City hosting West Ham United. Both teams playing a lot better than they were early in the season or end of last season. Manchester City 2-goal favorites right now. Almost all the juice on West Ham with that big important push on the 2. Total is 3.5, and those one just juiced 2 cents more expensive on the Manchester City side. I'm not sure I'm a believer in Man City and their turnaround. They have great names, great players, but I feel like they've been, don't know about figured out, but it just isn't as dominant as they've been in the past. West Ham have big problems. They've had success in Manchester City in the past, but that was a lot under David Moyes, who's nowhere near this job. I think he's 4 managers ago now. There's a very conservative manager in place, though, and I think if you like West Ham, you probably want to look at the under 3.5 goals because they're not going to likely score with Manchester City and cover that 2-goal spread. Move next to Bournemouth hosting Burnley. Currently, Bournemouth 1-goal favorites with all the juice right now. Total in this one is 2 3/4, just slightly more, 4 cents more to over. So Burnley are going to go in and try to keep this as low scoring as possible. I'm more concerned about the +1 than I am the under 2 3/4 because Burnley could get shut out here, lose 2-0, don't cover the spread, but end up hitting the under. And Bournemouth, to me, I mean, they're still a counterattacking, defensive-minded team. They've kind of branched out a little bit from that underneath Iraola. I mean, I'm a believer. Anyone who listens to this podcast, Bet and Pitch Podcast on the Bet and Pitch Podcast Network, at this point, I probably don't need to say it again, but I seem to want to for all the new follow subscribers, all those sort of things. There's been a lot more hits and views, and I really appreciate that. Thank you all for hopefully enjoying the hard work I'm putting in. But I think from a Burnley perspective, they're going to kill this game from the beginning. I think they could do that, and I would love to get a push on 3 available for the under. It's 2 3/4 right now. It doesn't look like we'll get to 3, but I think the number is still bigger than I made it. We'll move next to Wolves hosting Brentford. Currently, Wolverhampton, a 0.5 goal underdog at home with all the juice. Total in this one is 2.5, and it's used very heavily to under. And I got to say, Brentford as a road favorite is kind of news to me. They've been great at home so far this season, but I'm not sure I necessarily believe that will continue. They've got a lot of scalps, but they play very well at home, and this is a different situation because they're growing on the road and they have to win the match to cover the spread. Wolves have been awful. They're the last team in England to win a match across the top 7 or all of English professional football. Not great, especially when they just inked their manager to a new contract. Maybe to try to get the buyout lower, but it was not good. It was not going well, and we'll see how they turn this around, try to stay in the Premier League. Brentford on the other side, to me, I think are a little bit valuable as a team to potentially fade because they are not great away from home, have shown flaws, and have done a lot of overperforming so far this season. I feel like if you like reversion to the mean, you probably like this matchup. And so I'm very interested in Wolverhampton getting that 0.5 goal. And I think I like under 2.5 as well because I don't really trust them to score. I think there's a good chance we split here, see a low-scoring matchup, and that's not really what Brentford want to play. That is actually all of the early window matches in Saturday's card. We have... I guess a few more, even 2, both starting at 3 p.m. Eastern time, 2 p.m. Central in God's country, Texas time on Saturday. So weird schedule, but we'll move next to Tottenham hosting Liverpool. Currently Tottenham just a 1/4 goal underdog, looking like they're moving towards 3/4 of the goal. Would have to hit 1/2 first though, most likely. But all the juice on Liverpool right now, and I think that's a reflection on how poorly Tottenham have played this season. Total in this one's 2 3/4, just all the way to over. But when I say Tottenham has played so poorly, I mean, are we not considering Liverpool as well? They've had one of the worst streaks of anyone. I mean, I've been loud and about it, saying that I didn't believe in this Liverpool team last season, didn't believe in it this season. I didn't expect rock bottom to come this quickly or this severely, but you got to look at Tottenham as a 1/4 goal underdog. And I think you got to look at Tottenham unders because they, no matter what, where they're playing, you'd expect it more on the road than at home. But they're going to play conservative football under Thomas Frank. That's what he's done with Brentford in his time in the Premier League and getting them there. I mean, if you want to fade Liverpool, you've got a great opportunity here. I don't know if that's a spot I really want to be in, but they're struggling to win matches anywhere, have all season. And they look really old at really key positions. The Mohamed Salah thing, they weren't going to sign him. Then they did because he had a great season last year. Well, that hasn't gone well. Virgil van Dijk is not playing 2 positions for one human being. So I think Liverpool are a good fade right now. Under 2 3/4 could get 3, likely pointing there and is there probably on a lot of sites right now. Probably before kickoff should have a 3. That's more valuable, I think, than the 1/4 goal on Tottenham, but I like the both. Now to the dueling 2 p.m. Central Time matches on Saturday. We'll start with Everton, 3/4 goal underdogs at home to Arsenal. All the juice on the Gunners. Total in this one is 2 1/4, and it's juiced all the way to over. So Everton, I'm probably not playing them because I don't until they get a full goal of insurance because I don't really believe in their offense. But that does certainly point toward under 2 1/4 because I do think they're going to make this game as defensive as possible. David Moyes has come out, and one of the things Tim Howard, former United States national team goalkeeper and goalkeeper at Everton, Manchester United, and other places, he loved to literally quote this guy, his former manager said, "We don't go on the road to entertain." Well, they're at home. They're probably going to try not to entertain because entertaining football means Arsenal will beat them. Arsenal have been great to start the year. I think we've seen this coming for years. It's never really able to get over the hump. Champions League's been easy. Premier League's been great because everyone's been falling apart around them. But I do think they might have a little bit of trouble here. I'm waiting for Everton with that one goal of insurance. It's available across the market, I'm sure. But I think we see Arsenal money coming in every match as we don't normally do. So I'll be waiting on Everton and, more importantly, on under. To the other 2 p.m. Central Time match, Leeds and Crystal Palace. Currently, Leeds a slight favorite at Pick'em right now, just 6 cents difference separating Leeds and Crystal Palace. Total in this one is 2.25, and it's used heavily to over. So Leeds, great home field advantage, of course, but I'm not a believer. And then beating a Crystal Palace side who are going to go on the road where they don't play as well, but have done very well so far this season. And I think they perform. I think they keep Leeds far from the scoreboard because I just don't trust the Leeds to score goals besides just, I guess, overwhelming you with their home field advantage and their crowd. It will be good. It will be hard for Crystal Palace. I think under 2.25 is my biggest interest. If Palace move to a quarter goal underdog, I will certainly be looking at that, but no real indicator we'll get that. Now to Sunday and a Monday match before we move to Spain, but I'll give you a best bet for this England card. Aston Villa, quarter goal favorites at home right now with almost all the juice to Manchester United. And this was actually 20 cents. I wonder what the heck happened here. Total in this one's 2.75, juice all the way to over, also 20 cents. So this line... Bet online, what are you doing here? I've been shilling for you for a while. Just kidding. But the Manchester United side is the only one I could look at because I don't bet favorites in any soccer matches, never mind England, just because I think the draw is a really important thing and it's really, really very useful for underdogs. But total this one's 2.75. Looks like we're trending towards 3. And I still don't believe that Manchester United go on the road and dominate games, score many goals. Aston Villa are great at silencing their opponents at home, so I'm very interested in that matchup. For my best bet in England, I'm going to go... I really do like Everton and that under right now. I do think we're probably going to get better of a price, though, before kickoff, because 2.5 is certainly coming and is out there. So I think... Burnley is very interesting as well. Of course, West Ham United is a scary one. If you really want to believe in their recent resurgence, that's another question, I guess, for most. I'm going to go. I'm just going to fade Liverpool. I think let's go with. See, that's going to be 3 at some point, and that's so much value. I don't know that I want to really leave that up on the table. So let's go with Tottenham quarter goal underdog at home against Liverpool. We'll now move to Spain, coming off Copa del Rey matches this week. But we'll start on Friday with Valencia hosting Mallorca in La Liga. Valencia half a goal favorites. All the juice on Mallorca right now. Away from home, total in this one is 2.25, and it's used very heavily to under. I don't know that I trust Valencia to score. Mallorca, I have not trusted to score off that island at all, and I don't really trust them to score on their home island in their home stadium either. Home estadio. Mallorca look like they're in real big trouble to me. And so under 2.25 is my biggest interest in that one. I think the side has some value. I'm just not really sure I want it at this point. Also forgot to check if this audio is working. Thanks to you, those of you that are here live. No comments about it. I went muted, so we'll go back to Spain. Real Oviedo then hosts Celta de Vigo. Currently Oviedo a half of a goal underdog at home right now with all the juice. Totals 2.25, juice very heavily to under right now, and that's the way I lean, like I will with most of the Spanish matches, of course. Celta are struggling to balance Europa League and La Liga. They are built to be a deep team, but they sold off some of their best pieces in the transfer window this summer. Not great to then go play in Europe, and they're going to a really tough place to play. Real Oviedo have not been in the Primera División, in the top division in Spain for a long time. Literally had to get online donations, buy shares to even keep the club afloat. I lean to them as a home underdog of a half of a goal, but that under 2.25 is even more interesting. We'll move next to Levante hosting Real Sociedad. Currently, Levante quarter goal underdogs right now. All the juice on Real Sociedad away. Total in this one is 2.5, and the juice is split both ways. So Levante have not been very good. They're a newly promoted side. You don't expect that. Real Sociedad have fallen about as far as you could expect that club, who were literally winning a Champions League group with Inter Milan a couple seasons ago. Well, now they're slight favorites on the road at a promoted club, but that's actually an uptick because they've been playing good football lately. I don't know that I believe it to continue for much longer. I'm certainly interested in the home underdog. If anyone listens to any podcast I do, whether it's the NFL podcast, they for sticker on this feed, the college football podcast with XXLante XX on pregame. You can find that on Twitter at pregame.com, pregame now, or any podcast you've ever heard. I do like home underdogs, and I have no reason to get off of that yet. I think Russell should still have a lot to prove. Move next to Osasuna, hosting Alaves. Currently, Osasuna, a quarter goal favorite with almost all the juice. Total in this one is 2, and it's juiced pretty heavily to under. Now, Alaves had a tough Copa del Rey match midweek. We'll see how that impacts them and what they use and what they go into this Christmas break, I guess, in terms of what players resting and things of that nature. I think that benefits Osasuna, who are always a really good home team, but Osasuna are so far from where they were years ago. Lost their managers to Mallorca, who's not doing well there either. Don't think he's going back to Osasuna anytime soon. But that team, I mean, their name stands for health in Basque, but I don't believe that they're very healthy. So under 2, and I like the quarter of a goal on Alaves as well. To the Saturday nightcap, Real Madrid, a 2-goal favorite with more juice on the Sevilla side. Totals 3.5, juice more to the over. The big question here is Sevilla coming off that tough match in Copa del Rey midweek. Do you think that they play a tight game and keep Real Madrid off the scoreboard? Real Madrid's defense has been pretty weak. I don't know that Sevilla are really a team to exploit that because they're going to be focused on defending this whole freaking time. But at this point, 2 goals from Real Madrid in that home Bernabeu Stadium is a lot to look at. It's worked really well in the past, even under Carlo Ancelotti, who is defending much better. But man, that injury list for Real Madrid's defense is problematic. That certainly puts a little bit of onus or extra weight on potentially playing under there and concerns on playing under. But Sevilla and the road underdog total under, both things I will be looking at on Saturday late night in Spain. We'll move to Sunday. Girona hosting Atletico Madrid. Currently Girona, a 3-quarter goal underdog with more juice on the Atleti side. I do like how Girona have been turning up lately in the results column. They needed to. Totals 2 3/4. This one juiced all the way to under. And you could say Atleti have also done the same, but both of these teams got off to really poor starts. But I think Girona are the side I'm most interested in just because they're home underdog, as I said before. Would love to see them getting to the +1. Atleti have had a lot of road struggles over the years. They're no longer the defensive team that they were in the past. So I think under is a scary thing, though I guess I lean that way too. We'll move now to Villarreal and Barcelona. Currently, Villarreal, a slight half of a goal underdog at home to Barca. Which is saying something to me. They've been playing very well to start the season, but I'll get into that X's and O's a little bit in a second. Total in this one's 3 3/4, just more to the over. And I think if you like Villarreal, you have to like under here. I don't think they're going to try to get in a shootout with Barca. Barca's defense is really problematic, though, so I don't know who's playing under in Barcelona matches, even when you need 4 goals to lose just half of your bet. Villarreal, they're going to play counterattacking football. That's exactly what I want. I want them to use their pace against the Barca high line. The problem is Gerard Moreno certainly doesn't have that. Jose Perez is not young either. I mean, there's not exactly the burners you'd love, and that might be the thing with newly promoted sides, that might be the ones to actually catch Barca in that high line, though a lot have certainly been doing it. We'll move next to Elche hosting Rayo Vallecano. Currently Elche quarter goal favorites at home, all the juice on Rayo away. Total is 2 in this one, juice all the way to over, and this is the market finally taking a stand and be like, Elche is not going to keep beating us. With that said, at a certain point, Elche, they do play with the football. Eder Sarabia is probably the manager of the year in Spain, no matter what anyone else does. He's been awesome. But Rayo are going to defend like hell. And I believe in Inigo Perez, a disciple of Andoni Iraola, should have gone to Bournemouth but couldn't get a visa. I think we see a low-scoring match here and would love to get 2 1/4, and I'll be waiting for that on Sunday morning. We'll move to Sunday nightcap. Real Betis hosting Getafe. Currently, Betis, a 3/4 goal favorite with slightly more juice on the road team. Total in this one is 2, juiced all the way to over. Getafe are going to beat the shit out of this Betis team. Betis is really small, but talented, especially in the midfield, and Getafe are going to eat them for lunch. Will they score? I don't know, and I think that makes me want to lean to under 2 rather than playing the 3/4 of a goal. I think at +1, I'm in on Getafe. I don't think we'll get it. To the Monday matchup, Athletic Club Bilbao hosting Espanyol. Currently, Athletic Club, a 3/4 goal favorite at home. All the juice on Espanyol, away from home, away from Catalunya. Total in this one's 2 1/4, juice all the way to under. And I don't know that I love low-scoring games with Espanyol because I think they do have the ability to score. I just don't want to I mean, I want to bet against Athletic Club scoring any goals. The Williams brothers have been hurt all season, maybe contemplating moves, if not the Barcelona, to potentially England would be my guess with Nico Williams after he turned down Barca. I don't think he's staying at Athletic Club for very long. Could even see a move in January, especially with how poorly the season has gone, though that would absolutely shatter this club. Espanyol have been way better at home. They've been on the road, but that doesn't really bother me as a big underdog. You need to lose by multiple goals to take my full unit at the current price. And I just don't really think that's going to happen. So give me Espanyol 3/4 of a goal underdog and under 2.25 as a way to fade the Athletic Club offense or just really not existent ability to score goals. For my best bet in Spain, let's go with Levante Real Sociedad under 2.5 goals. I think we see Real Sociedad return to not being able to score goals again because it got good for them really in a surprise derby matchup, but I'm just not really a believer in that. We'll now move to the Supercoppa d'Italia, Supercoppa Italiana. There is one match that's already been played, which we covered. If you're a subscriber to Patreon, patreon.com/real_G_Warner, or on pregame, you got to play on that one. But we'll start with Bologna and Inter Milan, the remaining semifinal. This is being played in Saudi Arabia, so don't get fooled by Bologna being listed first. Yes, soccer matches, home teams are listed first. Yes, it's really bizarre. Don't love that. Of course, nobody does, especially no one likes the running clock is what I found, but that seems to be not a big issue to me. With all that said, Bologna 3/4 goal underdogs, all the juice on Inter. I'd love to get a full goal of insurance because I love the way Bologna have played. I'm certainly terrified of fading Inter and would probably want to do it. So if I split, you can win half your bet on a single goal lost by Bologna, and maybe they cover the under 2.5 here, which is a little bit more juice to over. I'm a believer in the Inter Milan defense. I think if Bologna get to +1, I'll play both side and total, hope for a 1-1 or a 1-0 Inter win. So I'll win 1/2 of the under and push the side, and we could get there. I think Inter are clearly the most popular team. They've got all the juice right now. They're +1s out there. So that's very interesting to me, and I think we should look out for that. Now to the regularly scheduled Serie A portion of the show. We'll start with Saturday, Lazio hosting Cremonese. Currently Lazio 3/4 goal favorites with all the juice. Total in this one is 2.25, and it's juiced all the way to over. So Cremonese, great start when they came up the top division, not Premier League, the Serie A instead from Serie B. It's kind of not been as easy for them the whole season, and you certainly don't expect that from them. Saying about to choke. But like a true podcast pro, I have water nearby. I think Lazio, I mean, they had the transfer ban. No one believed in them in Serie A all season. I like Cremonese, though. I think they keep this close. I would love to get a full goal of insurance, and it looks like we will get there. I mean, I'm going to have 1,000,000 +1 underdogs, it feels, and that sounds scary, but also is exactly where I want to be, especially heading into the holiday season where there's potential for some teams to be looking ahead or potentially not showing up because they're focused on whatever they're doing for the holidays. It sounds crazy. They're professional footballers, but it happens, and I've seen it before. So under 2.25 and the +1, if I can get it, it's available out there in the marketplace. So I'm interested there. Next, go to Juventus hosting Roma in a battle of surprise Scudetto contenders. And I think one is a contender, and that's Roma. And no one really expected that, even with Gasperini coming in from Atalanta in this summer's transfer window. Juve, half a goal favorites. I like Roma getting a half. It's very expensive at the moment, -123 to a +103 right now, bet online. Total this one's 2.25, just all the way to under. And that's not really the style of Gian Piero Gasperini. But there have been a lot of low-scoring Roma matches this year, and it seems like he might have finally found a defense to go with his great genius offensive mind and strategy. Moving to Sunday, Cagliari hosting Pisa. Currently, Cagliari 1/4 goal favorites with all the juice right now at home to the home newly promoted side Pisa. Total is 2, juiced all the way to over. And I lean to the road underdog. Get it? Leaning Tower of Pisa. Anyway, I think I like more under 2. Yes, it pushes on 2. I don't love that. I'll be waiting to see if 2.25 pops, but that's probably my bigger interest at the moment. Cagliari, they defend at home. They're probably going to try to be open, and that does worry me because really low-scoring teams can find the net against another team that's also trying to win and get 3 points to stay in this division. But I think seeing 3 goals, I think I'll pay to see it. Sassuolo then hosts Torino on Sunday, 8 a.m. Central Time in the United States. Sassuolo 1/4 goal favorites, all the juice on Torino away. Total in this one is 2.25, and it's used more to the under. I'm interested in Sassuolo. Would love to get them. I think it's a low-scoring matchup. So, and any match with Torino involved is. I think Torino are getting too much respect. If they move to Pick'em, I think Sassuolo will be on my card. Moving next to Fiorentina hosting Udinese. Currently, Fiorentina quarter goal favorites with more juice. Total in this one, excuse me for coughing, is 2.25, and it's juiced more to the over. So Fiorentina, I mean, sacked their manager, who I really liked and thought would succeed at Fiorentina. Joke's on me on that one, but they've been horrible. It's now reached to a point where they are tiny favorites at home to a team like Udinese, who they've always been ahead of. And I think I can't help but want to fade them, either their offense with an under or playing the road underdog, which is probably more sensible. Udinese getting quarter of a goal. Would love to see it higher, but I think that's the state of Fiorentina at this moment. Now to the last matchup on Sunday, Genoa hosting Atalanta. Currently Genoa half a goal underdog at home with all the juice. Total in this one's 2.25, juice more to the over. Atalanta have started to look a little bit better under the new manager. Ivan Juric was a ridiculous choice to hire to follow in Gianpiero Gasperini, but I swear, the thinking outside the box, like you thought it was bad in the NBA in the United States or in the NFL, try European soccer. They are absolute clowns and literally will just hire retread after retread and be like, oh, I'm surprised it didn't work out. Anyway, Atalanta is certainly way better than Genoa. Genoa, who've hired Daniele De Rossi after, paying myself, my subscribers, patreon.com/real_G Warner, just going unders with Genoa every time they played or against them as a favorite. That worked very well for a long time. Daniele De Rossi is different. I think he got a raw deal, as everyone did at Roma. And Genoa has already started to find goals, which didn't exist before. For that reason, I think I'm a little more interested in the home underdog, as I always like those. I think the total also is a little bit interesting. I want to play under 2.25, but Atalanta's offense is there. It hasn't been as good this season. But you could argue that's because of Juric. I think their defense is better. I don't know. I'm not really sure. I think it's really maybe only the home underdog that looks of interest to me at this point in that matchup. For my best bet in the Italian Serie A, I'm going to go with Roma half a goal underdog on the road at Juventus. I just think that price is too big. And now we'll move to hopefully some Coupe de France numbers. And we don't have any from Bet Online. So that whole thing that I did and delaying getting ready, that's all a waste. And we'll move straight to the German Bundesliga. Sorry for all the French fans. If there's any of those, please shout me out. Sacre bleu, or whatever I should be saying. We'll move now to Germany in the Bundesliga with Borussia Dortmund on Friday hosting Borussia Mönchengladbach in a battle of the Borussias. Currently, Gladbach 1.25 goal underdogs on the road at Dortmund. Total is 3, juiced all the way to over. Now, the total feels small to me. It's very juiced to over. 3.25 is likely coming for kickoff. Gladbach have not been scoring many goals this year. Started this year, sacked their manager, sporting director, all in one, or actually, I think at separate times, but all because they were sitting bottom of the Bundesliga table. And some teams are like, yeah, we're in last. Girona, you could say, was one of them and didn't really panic and fire their manager. But Gladbach, I think, knew they hadn't won, I think, in the last 10 weeks or something like that of last season's Bundesliga season. And we're sitting bottom in this year. But things have turned a little bit. They brought on their manager from like the youth team and then gave him a deal because he got a big win before the international break against FC Köln, their biggest rivals, who's, let's not forget, a newly promoted. All these things, I mean, they're big underdog, but they're in a really tough place to play. Dortmund have not been crushing teams so far this season. I'm into the Gladbach side, 1.25. I just don't know if there's enough there for me. Moving to Saturday, big matchups, all big window of games, all at 3:30 in local time in Alemania, in Deutschland, in Germany. I think I muted myself before I coughed that time. Might be dying. Augsburg quarter goal favorites right now to Werder Bremen. A little bit more juice, 4 cents more on Werder Bremen. This one totals 2.75, juice more to the under. I mean, Augsburg changed managers because they needed to. I don't think that the football that you've never played was a good idea. Though I guess you could argue with so many retreads that I just was harping on in Italy, I guess at least Augsburg went a different, more modern direction. With that said, I don't really trust them as a favorite. They usually stay in the league and don't suffer relegation concern because they win their home matches. But I don't know that that's this team this year. I like the quarter of a goal underdog, as Augsburg usually are really a pick-em at home, and that makes them interesting then. It doesn't look like we'll get there. Under 2.75 is also of interest for me in that one. Move next to Stuttgart, Hoffenheim, which is a pretty big battle of teams that look like they've got Europe on their minds. I probably should apologize to Christian Ilse because I was not a believer in him from moving from Sturm Graz in Austria to Hoffenheim, but I think there's also been a really good amount of talent that's shown up. Fiznik Aslani is also one of my favorites so far. I'm really hoping that he makes it to the World Cup. We'll see. Stuttgart, half a goal favorites, excuse me, with a lot of juice on Hoffenheim. So maybe jockeying back between half to a quarter of a goal. I lean to Hoffenheim because they are really talented. Have been awesome away from home. Doesn't feel like it's enough to me at a quarter. It's probably not going to make my card. And I don't really want to play under here, which makes me less interested in the road underdog as well, because I think both these teams can score. We might see a shootout, and that's not good for underdogs, especially at only a quarter, a very expensive half. Next, we go to Hamburg hosting Eintracht Frankfurt, and one of the bigger shocking lines for me this season, though Eintracht Frankfurt's defense has been horrible, seeing promoted club, giant Bundesliga side, but you can't just all of a sudden resurface from the Schweizer Liga to the Oberhausen and then all of a sudden spend a ton of money because of their 50+1 rule where the fans must own more than any individual. Well, Hamburg at Pick'em at home is a big surprise to me. Eintracht Frankfurt. I can't help but lean to Eintracht at this point, but I'm not touching them until I get a quarter of a goal, as that's generally the rule in this sport, especially going to a tough place to play with a great crowd. So at Pick'em, I lean to the home team, and I'm going to try to figure out why the heck they're a Pick'em. Moving next to Köln hosting Union Berlin. Currently FC Köln up from the Schweizer Liga, and they are quarter goal favorites. All the juice on Union away. Total in this one is... went past it. Damn it. It is 2.5, and it's juiced very heavily to under. That total reflects what FC Union want to play and not what Köln want to do. And that certainly makes me lean to the side, getting a quarter of a goal, go on the road, get a result. Because Köln started off the year really well in the Bundesliga. Looked like they're kind of running out of gas, suffered a really big injury to one of their most important defenders, and they were forever leaving Timo Ubers on an island. And so Marvin Schreiber, their goalkeeper, is great, but that's scary. I mean, the under certainly correlates with the road underdog, getting their style, make this rigid, fighting, physical. And FC Köln, while they do have a big crowd and they sing a song and all that sort of stuff, it's never really been a tough place to play. So lean to the road team, and the under, I think, more to the road team. Wolfsburg then hosts Freiburg in a battle of Borgs. Total is 2.5, and it's used very heavily to over. Wafel Wolfsburg are a pick'em with almost all the juice on the home team. Wolfsburg spend money every year, never get any sort of talent to congeal. Probably argue that's a leadership thing, but Sport Club Freiburg are awesome, go on the road. And while they probably are getting a fair amount of respect at pick'em here, I'll be waiting for them to be a quarter goal underdog. So nothing for me really on this one. On the side, I guess I'll lean to under 2.5. Looks like we'll get 2 3/4. And that'll be something that really, to me, is fading the Wolfsburg offense. To the Top Spiel, the big matchup on Saturday, RB Leipzig. Quarter goal favorites at home with all the juice to Bayer Leverkusen. Total is 3.25, and it's juiced all the way to under. So Leipzig have been awesome this year. Certainly exceeded my expectations after selling their biggest names, but they've rebuilt. They're probably better. I mean, definitely better than they were last season, despite big names. I'm not really looking to play Leverkusen. I would like to play Leipzig, but they're not getting down to a pick'em. So I think there's nothing for me to do in the Top Spiel on Saturday night. To Sunday, we have 2 matches, and then Germany probably takes a 2-month break, which is disappointing, but at least I'll be caught up by then. Let's go to FSV 1.FSV. Ein FSV Mainz 05. They are hosting St. Pauli of Hamburg, smaller club in Hamburg. Probably can get probably should duck. So I'm throwing something at me for saying that. But Mainz are half a goal favorite at home. All the juice is on St. Pauli away. Total in this one is 2.25, and it's juiced more to the over. Sorry, coughing. Which does make me a little bit interested. I don't know that I trust St. Pauli to score goals, so I probably should lean more to FCSP under 2.25 than the half of a goal. But FC Mainz they had, I think, the last match day of the Conference League on Thursday, the 18th, as I'm recording this live. LOL. But that was a big deal because Mainz have basically struggled in the Bundesliga. We're in relegation positions because they're used to just fighting harder than their opponents, but playing 2 matches a week with a relatively small squad, that's been problematic. And I like the idea of fading them. We'll see how long they go in Conference League, of course. But St. Pauli, they've really struggled their second season, sophomore slump in the Oberhausen in the top division, the German Bundesliga. They have certainly looked like they did not. I mean, they didn't score enough goals to stay up last season, but somehow miraculously did, as did FC Heidenheim, we'll get to in 1 second. But I think fading Mainz is what I'm interested in. I think under is probably more valuable, but I'll be looking at this one pretty closely on Sunday morning. Last but not least, FC Heidenheim hosting FC Bayern München. Yikes. Heidenheim, we probably should have gotten relegated last season, but came back in the relegation playoff, the relegation. Heidenheim, 2.5 goal underdogs at home with almost all the juice to Bayern München. Total this one is 4, just very heavily to under. And I want nothing to do with this because FC Heidenheim, they can't defend. They want to outscore you. That's not going to work with Bayern München. There's a lot of problems here that I don't really see a way out of. So I think for me, that's enough for me to potentially skip. And that's probably a good thing because I think if you're going to fade Bayern München, you need to be sure. And I'm definitely not sure at this point. So that does it for this episode. It's briefer than normal, 36 minutes though. So I gave you still some content. And we're getting through the whole Friday card. Expect some more coming out, especially the Super Coppa Italiana, as that will be revealed, the final matchup. And of course, we'll be getting locked and loaded for the Christmas season, traveling Monday, but should be back in the saddle, probably recording Monday night, getting you all ready for whatever's coming our way. I think I went 10-0, I want to say, on Boxing Day last year. We're going to try to outdo that. I don't know how. Probably take some volume, but that was fairly a lot of it last season. But maybe we'll recap it and try to let everyone know how it all went. Let them know, you know. Now it's time for the ultimate best bet. I'm going to give out my favorite pick from each of the leagues and then give you all a chance to bet it, of course, and grade the podcast. I want to mention the NFL podcast out with Andrew Schnicker. Record that every Tuesday night if we can. Holiday schedules might make that a little different coming up. But we're out and we've been really hot lately. Had a poor start to the season, but it's been good. And we usually hit our stride right as the playoffs start. 3-0 last 3 and then lost last weekend by 1 point when the Pats couldn't hold a 21-0 lead. Didn't want to bring that back up to my mind, but I thought I gotten over that, but clearly not. But a 1-point loser. So 3-1 last 4. And I'm going to try to keep riding that sunlight all the way to the promised land. College football podcast out with XX Lante XX. We went through the first round of the college football playoff. That's last week's episode. Tuesday's episode this week, we did some matchups coming up in the bowl season during the Christmas week, including the Hawaii Bowl and such. And we'll be back on Tuesday night going through a recap of the round 1 college football playoff games and getting you ready for the next one. College basketball coming out with Big East Ben. That's on Friday on the pregame.com, pregame now on Twitter's network. We'll get you through this weekend. Should have a much better slate of games as we're finally getting into college basketball season. Not the college football part has pretty much wrapped up, at least the season has. We're just postseason now. And then, I don't know, anything else you want me to do? Holla at me at @the_G1 across any social media platform, and I will try to respond, especially if you want an invite to Bet Online or sportsbetting.ag. If you don't have an account at one, get one, whichever at the other. Same bonuses, same lines. They mirror each other. They move in tandem, and they have great bonuses at both of them. Hit me up at @the_G1 on any social media platform, and I will help you get in there. So from for the ultimate best bet portion of the show, 14-7-1, 67% so far year to date, shooting for that 69%. Nice. Coming up. From England, I like Tottenham quarter goal underdogs at home to Liverpool. In La Liga in Spain, I like Levante under 2.5 goals at home to Real Sociedad. In Serie A in Italy, I like Roma, half a goal underdogs on the road at Juventus. And German Bundesliga, I liked Union Berlin, a quarter goal underdog on the road at, let's remember who that was, at Cologne. And we didn't have any Coupe de France lines available, unfortunately. But subscribe to Patreon, patreon.com/real_G1, or buy my pick packages at pregame.com, and you'll certainly get that next day, or preparing it for the next day when they come up. There's a few matches to talk about in France, but not that many. For the ultimate best bet of this podcast, 14-7-1, 67% year to date. Let's go Roma half a goal underdog at Juventus. I think we're going to see that number close at a quarter. But even then, I like the Roma underdog. Not a believer in Juventus, even though they've changed managers. Let's see him do it. And that'll do it for this episode. Thank you all for tuning in. 5-star reviews are huge, and comments, all those sort of things. Thanks to all the new YouTube subscribers. I mean, we're crushing the metrics and seeing way more viewers on Spotify, all those sort of things. We're getting as many views as like shows with 3 times as many followers on Spotify. So go hit that button, subscribe, leave a 5-star review, write a comment. If we see it, I'll read it or have one of my co-hosts do it if it's relevant to them. Love you all, and hope you have a great holiday. Talk to you all really soon down the line.
Recording stopped.